There are some filmmakers who try to develop parallel kind of works. For example, to combine one commercial film and one independent. For example, Steven Soderbergh or Gus Van Sant. So my question is, it is possible to keep independent when you after crossing this line?
I'll let you answer also. I mean, my own view is that Soderbergh is a good example of what I said before, that he started with this very independent movie, Sex, Lies, and Videotape, and very quickly became part of the Hollywood system and has made all the money with Ocean's 11 and these movies. His independent cinema, I think, has been less rewarding, much less rewarding. So in a strange way, he has succeeded financially and has the opportunity to make personal cinema, but I don't know if he still has the personal cinema voice after being in the studio system so long. Gus is a very interesting guy. I don't really think Gus Van Zant's Hollywood movies are very interesting, but his independent cinema, he still has his voice, like a movie like Elephant, which won the Cannes Festival, and Paranoid Park. He's a strange guy because the Hollywood can't change him. But when he tries to make the Hollywood pictures, even when he succeeds commercially, for me, they're not interesting. So they're two complete opposites. One is very successful in Hollywood, but his independent movies don't have a voice. The other is very successful in Hollywood commercially, but I don't think the movies are so good. His independent voice is strong. So I think it's still very difficult to live in the two worlds. Maybe somebody can think of other examples, but it's, like Bryan Singer, he left independent cinema and he makes, comic book movies. He made Superman Returns, David Fincher, of course, became very well known with independent films and movies like Seven, and now he's a very big Hollywood movie maker with big budgets. I'm trying to think of others. Even, I guess Chris Nolan is the great example. I think he has this independent kind of mentality, and he dragged the studio and he dragged the audience into this fantastic experiment, and he made this huge experimental movie, almost like the Wachowskis with the first Matrix. To me, the first Matrix is probably better than any Sundance movie. It's a fantastic experimental film that was really popular. But so you can be very experimental and very ambitious and creative and make popular entertainment. I think that's really the mythology, that you have to choose one or the other. It's a mythology.
Sorry. I think that exact thing is what young filmmakers like myself and my friends, we sort of assume that that's what we'll have to do to have a career, is to make more commercial films, and then go back and forth between making more commercial films and making more independent films. But most of us actually, I like all kinds of films, and a lot of, I watch a lot of commercial films and enjoy them. So, and some of them are really good and original. So, it's not like I'm completely anti any film that's can be commercial.
But I think it's like what you said. It's more a mentality thing, because you can, like you said, you can make a more easy movie, like more commercial, to get money, and then make something more like you. So you can, like, I don't know, swim between the.
Well, I guess my hope. I haven't done it yet, so I don't know if I can actually do it. But my hope would be to make something that's actually really good, a really good personal film that's still commercial. And I know I'm trying to think of examples of that. There are some really good commercial films that are successful commercially that are also good original films.
I mean, interestingly, I think the most creative films in America today are the studio comedies. I think the Hollywood comedies have more social criticism. They have more kind of creativity with the acting styles and the improvisation, and they deal with more kind of very edgy, taboo topics. And they succeed financially, and they succeed by making you laugh. But they're very serious movies. I mean, Superbad, I think, is a great movie. You know, I think that Knocked Up was pretty good, and I think Talladega Nights is a fantastic kind of. What's that? Little Miss Sunshine, yeah, that was an independent film, but it was a comedy and social comedy. So I think American comedies, for me personally, they're the most successful artistic movies in America today. I don't like the action movies at all because I think they're all stupid. And, you know, I don't think anyone is allowed to make an action movie that's smart, for me. And the social dramas I find kind of tedious and predictable. But the comedies keep surprising us and going into areas we've never gone before, like The Hangover. No one ever made a movie like The Hangover before, and I think Talladega Nights, as a satire of American ethic of winning, is a kind of brilliant screenplay. So you know, I think the excitement is in the comedies, which people are looking past. So. Tim Burton is a really interesting case because he's a completely independent filmmaker who's never made an independent film. You know, he has always worked for the studios. Even Pee-wee's Big Adventure was for Warner Brothers. He has always worked for studios, and of course, you know immediately when you see a Tim Burton movie. He has his own style and his own take, and he creates his own universe. All of the things of you know, auteur cinema, he definitely has in place, but he's never worked with independent money. You know, so. I really think the whole American independent thing from Sundance in 1989 was a little bit of a con job. You know, it's a little bit of a hype. You know, it was a branding exercise, and the brand sort of ran out of juice. You know, this is Paul Duran. Paul is a real independent filmmaker. He's written and directed 2 films. He completely produced The Dog Walker, which was a terrific film that was original screenplay. And then you worked on a picture before that called Flesh Suitcase, which you co-wrote and directed. So he has raised the money and made independent movies and is writing and still doing this. So I'll give you my view of Sundance. I think Sundance is a handcuffs. It's a straitjacket. It's a formula. Just like the studio formula, there is a Sundance formula, which I think the whole world is sort of tired of, because we know what a Sundance movie is now. It's going to be something about a dysfunctional family, and I'm not talking about the documentaries. The documentaries are really fantastic. The documentaries are fine, but the Sundance formula drama of you know, dysfunctional family and angst and or political correctness and can't we all get along, and they just seem so like there's no surprises. And like I say, Inception and Matrix are much more surprising and creative than the Sundance. It is definitely a business platform still, although less so. It's an opportunity to be seen, and I think it is more an opportunity for a director to launch his career. But the minute that he gets famous at Sundance, he'll go and get a job at a studio. That's where I think the whole independent thing is. You know, Robert Altman said at the Independent Spirit Awards 20 years ago, he said, "Why don't you all admit it? You all want a studio job. What is this whole independent thing? Let's, you know." And who really cares about where you get the money? I mean, I really don't understand how the money is like become such a big thing. We made this with our own monies. If the movie is boring, predictable, conventional, middlebrow, not very well done, pretentious, I don't care if the money was independent, and I don't care if it was studio. You know, it's the movie. You know, it's the movie that counts. It's not where you got the money. It's ridiculous. If the money dictates that you make a stupid movie, then it's a stupid movie. It doesn't. You know, if the money liberates you and lets you make Superbad,